Have you ever felt that your aura alone makes others uncomfortable, as if just the way you enter a room silences some people and causes others to look away, even though you haven't done anything? What's curious is that you're not seeking attention. In fact, the more you connect with your true self, the more others seem unsettled by your presence. So Carl Jung said that everyone carries a shadow, an unconscious part that, when repressed, is projected onto others. This is what happens when your aura is strong. It doesn't attack, but reveals. It reveals what others haven't yet had the courage to face. Today, we live in a superficial world where genuine light feels disturbing. People with a stable calm and authentic aura don't need to prove anything, and that's why they provoke reactions. Because simply by being present, they challenge others' masks. So, if you sense that your presence changes the atmosphere, don't doubt yourself. Maybe it's just your aura showing the world what it's not ready to see. In this video, you'll discover 13 signs that your aura is so powerful it irritates others, even without words. 1. Your presence changes the environment. You enter a room, and nothing about you demands attention. You're simply being yourself, yet something happens. Conversations quiet down, gazes shift away, and people who seemed comfortable now look tense. Maybe you've asked yourself, did I do something wrong? The answer is no. You just have an aura that radiates presence and authenticity, and that's rare. Carl Jung believed the energy we cultivate inside ourselves shows itself, even when we don't want it to. Those who are disconnected from themselves feel threatened by those who are whole. Your presence conveys integrity, and integrity changes the energy of any space. You don't need to say a word. Your mere existence speaks volumes, and that's what disturbs the clarity of someone who isn't trying to please. 2. People feel exposed around you. Some individuals fear the mirror, not a glass one, but the mirror your aura effortlessly becomes. It's as if your authenticity, presence, and awareness allow others to see themselves more clearly, which can be unbearable for those who are running away from themselves. Jung used to say that we project onto others what we don't want to face in ourselves. So when someone looks at you and sees confidence, truth, and depth, they might project their own insecurities, masks, and doubts onto you. And the most interesting part? You're not doing anything. You're simply being true to your own essence. But that alone can make the other person feel vulnerable, sometimes even attacked, even if you haven't uttered a single offensive word. It's the silent power of your aura. It reveals what others are trying to hide. 3. You disturb even by being silent. Have you ever noticed how your silence can be more unsettling than harsh words? How your calmness can create discomfort? In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, those who remain silent yet present become a threat. Jung called this expanded consciousness. Those who cultivate a heightened inner awareness begin to emit a different kind of energy, an energy that doesn't need explanations. Your silence, serenity, and inner strength disrupt the prevailing emotional patterns. Because people who only live on the surface expect noise reaction approval, and when you don't respond as expected, when you simply observe, they become confused. They feel they've lost control, and that sparks discomfort. You're not fighting, you're not attacking, but just by being there, present, steady, serene, your aura becomes unforgettable. 4. You attract spontaneous confessions and even unexpected rejections. Maybe you've experienced this already. Someone who barely knows you starts sharing deep secrets, traumas, and dilemmas they've never shared before. At the same time, others distance themselves without explanation, avoid you, ignore you, or suddenly change their behavior. Because your aura radiates such an authentic presence that those ready to open up see it as an invitation, while those who aren't ready perceive it as a threat. Carl Jung said that the soul recognizes truth even when the mind tries to resist, and your presence can trigger exactly that reaction. People feel they are confronted with something real, and in the presence of truth, there are only two possible reactions: to open up or to run away. That's why you shouldn't take it personally when someone rejects you without giving any explanation. Most of the time, they're simply fleeing from the depth you awaken within them. You don't need to assert yourself, and that irritates those who thrive on appearances. While many struggle to prove their worth, you simply are. You don't compete, you don't raise your voice, and you don't feel the need to win the conversation. Your strength lies in the unspoken, the effortless, the authentic, and that confuses people. We live in a world where performance is the norm, and where the ego craves the spotlight, recognition, and control. But Carl Jung reminds us, the greater the ego, the more fragile the identity that supports it. So when someone with an inflated ego faces your authenticity, they feel threatened. Your calm unsettles those who live in excess. Your clarity dismantles those who survive through manipulation. Your quiet firmness exposes the artificiality of others. You're not seeking attention, yet you are noticed. You're not after power, but your presence carries weight, and that is unacceptable to many. People test you, often without even realizing it. Have you ever sensed someone trying to test your limits, tossing out jabs or provocations to throw you off balance? It happens because your aura holds something rare, self-control, and in a society hooked on reactivity, self-control is a mystery. Carl Jung spoke about unconscious games we play in relationships. Often when someone realizes they can't control you, they try to provoke you. They want to find your vulnerability, see how much you can endure, and make you stoop to their level because deep down, they feel small in your presence. And it's exactly at that moment that you must remind yourself, you don't have to prove anything. Your worth isn't measured by winning an argument, but by keeping your peace intact, because in the end, those who try to test you are already facing the real challenge, your aura. You evoke envy, even without doing anything. Perhaps this is one of the toughest truths to accept for someone with a strong aura, realizing you've annoyed someone for no apparent reason, without competition, without conflict. You simply live, you simply are. But somehow, that's already too much for some people. Jung said that what bothers us most in others is often a reflection of something we haven't faced in ourselves. In other words, your light touches the unresolved parts of others. And it's not about having things, but about being something that the other hasn't yet allowed themselves to become. Your authenticity can unsettle those who live for approval. Your freedom can irritate those still trapped by expectations. Your sensitivity can be unbearable to those who have learned to suppress their emotions. And the hardest part, envy doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it shows in the looks of those who once claimed to admire you, in sudden silences, in absences weighed down by judgment. But now you know, it's not about you. It's about what you awaken in them. Your aura, because it is authentic and centered, shines a light on everything the other person has pushed into the shadows, and not everyone is ready to face that truth without resentment. You draw attention, but also silent judgment. There's something magnetic about the way you walk, move, your calm gaze, even amid chaos. You might not be the loudest person in the room, but you're almost always the one who stands out the most, and that's no coincidence. People with a strong aura carry an invisible magnetism, something that can't be put into words, but is felt in the air. Jung spoke of archetypal energy. It's as if some people embody unconscious symbols that dwell within each of us. And those who carry this energy evoke deep feelings in others, sometimes admiration, sometimes judgment. You see it in forced smiles, evasive glances, subtle criticisms. Do you know why? Because you are different. Your authenticity threatens those who blindly follow rules without questioning them. Your truth comes across as arrogance to those who can't handle sincerity. Your inner peace seems like superiority to those who are constantly battling themselves. But you know, You're not trying to compete. You're simply living in peace with who you've become. And today, that's more than enough to unsettle many. You prefer to be alone rather than in places where you have to shrink yourself. Over time, you've come to understand this. There are environments where your energy feels out of place, people around whom you feel the need to shrink your soul to avoid seeming too much. And the more you grow, the more selective you become, not out of pride, but out of self-love. Jung said that the process of individuation, the journey to becoming who we truly are, inevitably passes through solitude, because at first the world isn't ready for your transformation. You begin to say no more often. You distance yourself from empty conversations, superficial relationships, and places where you have to pretend to be less than you are, and this can be unsettling. Some will say you've become cold, others will accuse you of being arrogant. But you're no longer betraying yourself just to be accepted. Your aura now carries something many still don't understand: boundaries. And boundaries bother those who've grown used to your lack of protection. You've realized that being alone doesn't mean being lonely, it means protecting yourself. And this choice, though difficult, allows you to flourish in ways toxic environments never would have permitted. You don't adapt, you transform. From a young age, you felt you didn't truly belong in certain groups. You tried to fit in, went along with the flow, smiled at the right moments. But inside, you always felt something was off. You felt different and, over time, you understood. You weren't born to fit in. You were born to transform. Carl Jung said that the true self doesn't seek blind adaptation, but individuation. Becoming who you really are, even if it means disappointing others' expectations. Your aura reflects this process. It's an energy that reveals truth, and truth doesn't fit in. It expands. That's why, instead of squeezing yourself into narrow spaces, you started creating your own. You built new relationships and inspired others to break free from the need to please. And this presence unsettles, because those accustomed to conformity don't know how to act around someone who has the courage to be whole. You're not just part of the background. You're the wind that comes through the window and changes the air in the room. Your intuition is strong and exposes hidden games. You don't need proof to know something is wrong. You sense it in the way someone looks at you, in the uncertainty of their voice, in the little details others overlook. And perhaps, more than once, you've found yourself doubting your own judgment. You've tried to be rational, but over time you've realized that your intuition doesn't make mistakes. It simply speaks a more subtle language. Carl Jung deeply valued the wisdom of the unconscious. For him, what we call intuition is the voice of the soul trying to protect us, guide us, and awaken us, and you've learned to listen to it. This is why you irritate those who thrive on manipulation, who hide their intentions, who twist words. Your aura senses before the mind understands, and this breaks patterns, anticipates lies, and protects your boundaries. You may not immediately know why, but you just know something is off. And that's enough, because you've learned that ignoring your intuition is the quickest way to betray yourself. You communicate with the soul, not with the ego. You have no patience for games. You don't enjoy meaningless conversations. You can't stand relationships where you have to pretend to be accepted. Your voice is calm but firm. You listen more than you speak, but when you do speak, your words resonate. Your aura carries a presence that goes beyond words. It conveys truth even in silence. Jung said that when a person reaches a certain level of awareness, they stop living behind their social mask and start living from their core. This is what's happening to you. You don't sell your essence short. You don't warp your truth for acceptance. You simply are, and that's why you unsettle those who still live on the surface. Your words heal, but they also challenge, because they are born not from vanity, but from depth. You speak with the soul, and not everyone is ready to listen. Your healing is a threat to those who seek control. Maybe you don't realize it, but the healing journey you're on is a revolutionary act. You didn't stay where you were wounded. You chose to rise again. You chose to understand the pain instead of drowning in it, and in doing so, your aura has transformed. Jung said that healing doesn't mean becoming perfect, but becoming aware, and that is exactly what you've done. You have brought light to where there was once shadow. Today, your very presence shows that change is possible, and that poses a threat to any system built on fear. Because healed people break free from emotional dependencies, no longer accept scraps, no longer tolerate manipulation, and no longer live just for pleasure. Your aura now shines with a hard-earned strength, and that glow is the greatest disturbance to those who hope to see you fade away. Through your life, you demonstrate that there is another path, one that cannot be controlled. You no longer feel the need to justify yourself, and that disarms them. Have you noticed how over time you've stopped explaining yourself? Once you wanted others to understand your silence, your choices, your emotions, but now you simply live, not out of arrogance, but because you've realized that those who truly want to understand you listen, while those who only want to distort have already made up their minds, even before asking. Jung said that the constant need to justify yourself is a sign of inner insecurity, and when you let it go, your aura begins to radiate something different, emotional autonomy. You become someone who doesn't beg for understanding, but walks confidently even when misunderstood. And that disarms. We live in a world where everyone expects reactions, explanations, defenses, but when you remain silent and at peace, others lose their bearings and feel exposed. You've stopped arguing with those who don't want to understand. You've stopped proving what can only be felt by those who resonate at your frequency, and that sets you free. Free from the chains of needing approval, free from masks, free simply to be yourself. You don't need to win. You need to be real. The last and perhaps deepest sign that your aura is so powerful it disturbs is that you no longer feel the need to win to feel complete. You no longer have to convince anyone. You don't want to be right. You want peace. You no longer engage in every battle. You choose which ones are worth standing your ground. Jung said that the most important victory in life is conquering oneself, overcoming the ego, winning the illusion that external approval is necessary to feel worthy of existence. When you reach this state of consciousness, your aura changes. You choose silence over argument, distance instead of insistence, your inner peace in place of a stage filled with empty applause. And those who still live by appearances, control, and ego feel deeply threatened because your very existence reminds them of everything they have yet to find the courage to become. You're not trying to win anyone over. You're simply being true to yourself. And that is the most powerful way to live. If you've made it this far, you probably already understand. It's not your beauty, your voice, or your words that unsettle others. It's your aura, what you carry inside, what you've refused to lose. It's the peace you've earned after countless inner battles. It's the quiet strength you radiate when you no longer feel the need to prove anything to anyone. Carl Jung taught us that true individuation isn't about isolating yourself from the world, but about not losing yourself in it. It's about staying grounded amidst chaos, about remembering every day who you've become, even when everything around you tries to make you forget. So, if your presence feels unsettling, if your calm is seen as a threat, if your light draws frowns, don't apologize. Honor your glow, because it has cost you dearly. Today, it proves that not only have you survived, you have thrived. You have thrived. And this is a truth not everyone is ready to face. Your aura isn't powerful because you're perfect, but because you're authentic. It isn't strong because you have all the answers, but because you've learned to live with the questions. It isn't bright because you don't know darkness, but because you've chosen to illuminate it. Carl Jung teaches us that shadow and light always walk together. Those who have the courage to explore both become whole, and it's this wholeness that unsettles those still living in division. If today you feel your mere presence causes discomfort, remember, others' reactions don't define your worth. They reveal what they haven't yet resolved. Don't change to fit in. Don't dim your light to avoid disturbing others. Don't silence your truth to please. Your aura is the sum of every wound you've healed, every fear you've faced, every dark night you've transformed into awareness. And today, even when you don't speak a word, your energy speaks for you. It tells the world it's possible to be whole, that inner peace isn't a fantasy, and that authenticity is true silent power. If people walk away, let them go. If judgments arise, watch them from a distance. If you feel misunderstood, accept it with compassion. Because your aura isn't here to blend in, it's here to teach, and teaching often means challenging. Don't be afraid of your strength, don't fear your light. Your presence is an invitation to those ready to awaken, and a challenge to those who prefer to stay asleep. Keep walking with confidence, keep being true to yourself, because the world desperately needs people who aren't afraid to live with integrity, authenticity, and awareness. You're not just living, you're inspiring. And this is the most beautiful mission of your powerful aura. Honor it every day, for it is no coincidence that you are here now, just as you are. This is exactly where you need to be, at the heart of your truth. Your truth resonates in silence, speaking clearly even without a voice. Every step you take leaves traces. Every choice you make brings clarity. Your aura carries the promise of possibility, the example that an authentic life is not just desirable, but deeply attainable. Don't worry if not everyone understands. Your message isn't for everyone. It's for those who are ready to feel, for those who truly want to be free, for those who are tired of merely surviving and wish to genuinely live. Your life is a beacon that lights unknown paths, a compass guiding those who feel lost. Every time you choose to be yourself, you inspire someone else to do the same. Never underestimate the impact of your presence. Even in moments when you feel alone, remember that you are opening pathways. Pathways you may never see, but that are essential for those who come after you. Keep growing, keep shining, because your authenticity is the silent revolution this world truly needs. Know